Hi everyone, you know I'm here at Route 9 Library in Newcastle County getting ready to start my first free from Recovery Emerge Empowered 12 Recovery Principle Workshop. And we have a packed audience and we want to let you know that you should be here, but in the event that you couldn't make it, we're bringing it live to you because this is free and it's free to you, you, and you because every one of us is ill to some extent and everyone can use the 12 recovery principles. So just give me a minute as I continue to get myself together and start the presentation. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to again let you know where we are. We're at the Route 9 Library in Newcastle County, Delaware. And this is the first of 3 presentations. The next one is going to be March the 1st in Dover, in Kent County, at the Dover Free Library as well. Same time, so if you can't make it today, try to make it next week. Also, on March the 28th, we are going to be in Sussex County, and that's going to be at the Georgetown Library, and that's called Recovery City in the lower state of Delaware. So we are excited to be able to present this 12 recovery principles, and I am being sponsored by the 1212 Corporation. And many of you know the 1212 Corporation is a safe haven in Wilmington, Delaware, located at 2700 Washington Street. And it's a clubhouse where people come and relax and wind down and attend 12-step meetings, get information, get counseling as a transition before they go back to work or they go home. But it's a safe haven. And so the 1212 Corporation is open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. Executive Director there. And so we want to be able to encourage you to visit the 1212 Corporation as well as attend these remaining presentations. We plan on taking this presentation on the road to the next states across the country, international, wherever God sends me, that's where I'm going to go. And so I'm going to start my presentation right about now. So if you have someone you can call to tune in, make sure you tag them or comment for them to tune in as we do this 12 recovery principle workshop. I'm excited and I just thank God that today is the launching of the 12 recovery principle, but it's also the day of my 30th anniversary. Yes, my 30th year anniversary. So we're going to get started. And we're going to make sure all the equipment is done. If you need to sit down and do that or use the tripod, we can. We're going to ask you to silence your phones. We want to do some house cleaning issues, the bathroom and the ladies' room, or the ladies' room and the men's room, or down the hall. Please feel free to take notes if you need to. Ask any questions, write down the questions that you may want to ask later. But in the meantime, I just want you to sit back and relax and be ready to engage, because this kind of workshop, we believe in engaging with the audience so that I'm not the only one up here talking and providing examples. We want you to participate as well. And so let's get started. All right. We're going to start from the beginning. Again, the 12 Corporation is presenting the Free from Recovery Emerge Empowered 12 Recovery Principle Workshop. I, Edwina Bell, is your presenter. We selected the 12 recovery principles for 3 reasons. We want to be able to prevent addiction, mental illness, and all of those issues that have plagued our community, plagued our family since man has been on this earth. And we can prevent it with the current generation, the upcoming generation, and definitely future generations. We also want to stress intervention. Because just as we have people that we want to prevent taking the correct advice, we also want to intervene those who are going down the right path, the wrong path, and or those who are suffering from co-occurring disorders or anything else. And I want to also say that the 12 recovery principles are not just related to addiction and alcoholism and mental health. We are using the model from Alcoholics Anonymous, which is the parent of the 12-step recovery program. And we customized it to show that we can recover from any and all adversities that plague us. And so the 12 recovery principles can be applied if you have cancer, if you have mental illness, if you've been raped or have issues with molestation, suicide attempts, domestic violence, chemical dependency. And so having that intervention and presenting these 12 recovery principles can aid you in navigating through healing so that you can become free, empowered, not only for yourself, but to help other people. So this is what this workshop of the 12 recovery principles is about. And as a result of God blessing me 30 years ago, on this date was my first day of recovery, that I've been able to become a recovery coach, a trainer, a columnist, a spiritual advisor, even a model and an actress. And I'm presently up to Castle New Calvary School of Ministry. So the point is, and if you know anything about me, I believe that transparent, you are unable to be transparent, then you cannot be effective. And so I want to continue with my next slide. This whole process is in workshop 12 recovery principles. Free emotionally, spiritually, mentally. We want to strive for freedom from anything and all things that has kept us in bondage. We want to be free from the shackles of the past, the shackles of people's interpretation, or the thoughts that people may have about. We want to be free. Why we want to be free? Because we want to be free so that we can be empowered, not just for ourselves, but to help the next person. Whether it be your family member, your neighbor, your co-worker, a stranger, empowered to help somebody else. And so with my 30 years of experience in utilizing the model of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous spiritual steps, I welcome you again to the free workshop. So let's find out who I am. Who is Edwina Clinton Hall? Well, that was my birth name. Edwina, named after my father, Edward Clinton Hall. Yes, my middle name is Clinton. That's a boy's name. You would think that I would have a girl's name, but my father wanted a boy so bad that he wanted to name me Clinton, at least to have his middle name as well as his last name. So I'm Edwina Clinton Hall. But I've also been married 3 times thus far. Edwina Hall Dockery, my first husband at the age of 19, my second husband, Paul Bell, at the age of 30, and my deceased husband, Mitchell, at the age of, how old was I? I'm going to say I was 47. Okay. So 30 years free from drugs, mental illness, cancer, domestic violence, suicide attempts, rape, and the lifestyle. And if you remember the paradigm that I used with the circle outlining the various areas in our lives that I could utilize the 12 recovery principles, it included all those things. Because through the 12 recovery principles, initially with the 12-step programs of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and all that, I found out that I can use and apply these 12 recovery principles to all areas of my life. presently getting my doctoral degree from New Calvary School of Ministry. I'm a member of Canaan Baptist Church with Pastor Christopher Allen Bullock, and I need to say something. Even though I've been in recovery for 30 years, I've only been connected to my religious choice for the last 12 years. And there's a story behind that as well. Because in my past, in working in the community for the wrong reasons during my addiction, I had negative encounters with pastors and churches. So I had a disdain for pastors and churches until I utilized the 12 recovery principles to help me deal with those issues and become empowered and not to give anything or anybody the ability to remove me where God has placed me or to take away things that God is preparing me to receive. So I needed to do that. So as a result of that, I'm a speaker, a presenter, facilitator, recovery coach, actress, and a model. Talk show host of 25 years. Could you imagine? I didn't think I had any public speaking experience. But from recovery, emerged empowered, that I was given the ability by that divine force to be able to stand before you right now without any public speaking experience. So I thought. But through the 12 recovery principle application, I learned that when I go to meetings, I'm speaking in public. When I go to a classroom, I'm speaking in public. When I am addressing a crowd, whether it be for domestic violence or suicide attempts, so I do have public speaking experience. Isn't that something? But it wasn't on TV though. So I believe that from recovery emerge empowered, I have been given the gift of public speaking because why? I'm transparent. Why? Because I have been delivered and I've been set free to tell it like it is. And to thy own self be true. So yes, a talk show for 25 years called Choosing a New Way of Life. You hear that title? Not shows. Choosing is ongoing. You are making a choice on a daily basis to make the right decision. Because you are met with temptations, obstacles, challenges, and you have to bring to the forefront of your mind those 12 recovery principles to say, I'm not going to react, I'm going to respond. Because when you learn how to respond, then you have become empowered not to be drawn back into the negativity that set people up to relapse in any area. My next point is I'm the mother of Dr. Dwight Kenneth Dockery II and my daughter, Kenesha Dockery. She's the CEO of A Woman's Touch and a head inspector for license and inspection for the city of Philadelphia. When you talk about becoming free and emerge empowered, you have to realize that you are not in this world alone. And you impact and have effect on people. And so from recovery emerge empowered can also trickle down and impact and affect your offspring in a negative way or a positive way. And most times it's both. Most times it's both. You know why? Because all of us are ill to some extent. And that's why all of us could utilize the 12 recovery principles. As educated as my children are, as successful as my children are, they are yet wounded. But I can't help them. They have to apply the same 12 recovery principles I did for my illnesses. They have to do the same for them. I can lead by example, I can lead by a model, but I can't talk the talk. And so by having my children successful and educated but yet wounded. I am breaking the cycle of addiction, mental illness, dysfunction. I couldn't do it with them, but I'm trying very hard to do it with my grandchildren. And so as you go through your life situations, as you go through your recovery of cancer, of domestic violence, of substance abuse, as you go through all those situations using the 12 recovery principles, yes, you can impact the lives of those before you, those that you have in your circle right now. I can't go back, but I can be present and I can be forward. And so what my children couldn't benefit from because of my addiction and other illness, my grandchildren can. As a result of my children, I have 7 beautiful living grandchildren. I say 7. I don't know how many more I got out there, but I say 7. And one has transitioned already. Brielle, rest in peace, my dear. But 7 beautiful grandchildren that I have been able to, I believe, impact their lives in a positive way. They love them some grandma, right? And your kids and your grandchildren and your nieces and your nephews can feel the same way about you when you learn how to apply the 12 recovery principles to become empowered. You don't have to say anything. It's in your aura. It's in the way you walk. It's in your demeanor. It's in your action and not in your words. It's in your action. And I'm going to say, before I go on, the most rewarding empowerment characteristic that I've had as a result of using the 12 recovery principles is being able to take care of 7 family members on hospice. Yes, 7. And guess what? 3 at one time. I did not know I had that caregiving characteristic in me. But going through the 12 recovery principles, the God that I now know has shaped me, molded me, and prepared me to do what I thought was the impossible. Yes, that has been the most rewarding gift of the 12 recovery principles, taking care of 7 family members. And the last 3 was my mother, my sister, and my aunt. Yes, those who prayed for me, God allowed me to be there for them. And guess what? As you journey through your 12 recovery principles, who knows what you're going to be prepared for? Who knows what strength you're going to be given to do what He wants you to do? And that is to be able to touch somebody else's life because you are using 12 recovery principles to become empowered. Yes. So that's who I am. I'm just a humble servant. I'm just a humble servant. Yes. During the first 4 years of my recovery, it was suggested that I keep a journal. And I'm going to share with you all. Start your journal today, if you haven't already, by being in this class, by getting this information. Start your journal today. Start writing what you felt, what you got, what you understood, what questions you have. Start your journal today because it's going to become your reference book. You're going to be able to refer back to it next week, next month, next year. So this is mine. And as you can see, as it was written, and guess what the word written is spelled wrong for those educators out there. And you may ask yourself, well, why is it spelled wrong? Well, because it was written when I forgot how to spell. It was written when I forgot how to read. Because of the illnesses that I was going through, mental illness, substance abuse, and the like, I forgot how to spell. I forgot how to read. And you know, in the past it says, sign your name with X and O's. And so the goal is not to look at how you can articulate or how well you can spell. It's a matter of getting what's inside out. Because that's what the 12 recovery principles are designed to do, to go inside. It's an inside job. It's an inside job. Most of us have been looking on the outside, the external things for satisfaction, happiness, but it starts in the inside. And so I started recording a journal 4 years off and on in my recovery, and it has become my reference book. And I'm going to say before I go on January the 11th of 1991, my journal entry was visions of being a speaker and a writer. You see what these 12 recovery principles did for me? I was allowed through them to have a vision, and through staying humble and obedient, it came to fruition. For the purpose of what? Not just me, but to help you too. So. Many of you know, when you are going through situations, life adversities, there are different looks. There are different stages in your life. The first picture that you saw on the screen when I was 5 years old, sitting on a little, they call them stools back then. I was just 5 years old. But this is a picture of before, when I had dreams, aspirations, goals. Before, during, and after picture. Business ed major, voted to succeed, high school vice president, athlete, basketball, track and field, ping pong champ, co-captain of the cheerleading team. Yes, I had goals, I had aspirations. But then I allowed myself, through peer pressure, through bad choices, through thinking I know what's best for me, being defiant, being rebellious. Yes. And as you can see in the middle, that was me doing my addiction. And my addiction, I believe, brought about my mental illness. I still take medication today. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Even though I use the 12 recovery principles, I still take medication as prescribed for antidepressants, being depressed at different times of my life. Okay? So that was during. And then December the 22nd of 1990 was the last day I got high, that I got drunk, that I involved myself in negative behaviors with people in the community who were just like me, going through the same thing like me. We were all sick. We all transformed. We all became each other's victim. Yes. Until I placed myself underneath that parked car in the streets of Philadelphia, getting away from my stepson. Yes, my stepson, who was mentally ill too, who had an addiction as well, who was in the lifestyle as well. He transformed just like I transformed. And when you're going through these adversities, we do transform. We are not our normal selves. We are not making rational decisions. We are not doing what's best for us, and definitely not doing what's best for other people that are in our care. And so, being an author of this journal, I had no idea God was going to publish it in 2015. Free from recovery, emerge, empowered. Went back to school at the age of 43, Lincoln University, got my master's in human services, and guess what? The same type of arena I was delivered from and brought into, carried on in my work field. I had no idea. My line of work was computers. My line of work was word processing. My line of work was data entry, but nothing like this. Being freed and empowered to help other people. So this is my training manual that I wrote for the City of Wilmington Employee Assistance Program to help individuals, co-workers, managers, directors who were afflicted with mental illness, substance abuse, and whatever issues they had. That 12 recovery principles were available for them. I didn't know I had the ability to write a thesis, but look, I did. Why? By utilizing the 12 recovery principles. I wrote articles for the News Journal with help goals. Life goals are attainable. Ending addiction requires real desire. And when I write in these articles, I am transparent. Yes. Who out there would want to talk about those things that they did that were degrading, that was humiliating? Yes. Who would want to say that? Who would want to write that? Who would want people to read something like me? Why? Because of the 12 recovery principles. I needed to be set free. I needed to be empowered so that I can offer the same to you. That's why. So I'm transparent. Some people say I'm too transparent, but I don't care. The truth will set you free. And it has set me free. Okay? No longer homeless, physically, mentally, or spiritually. You know, many of us with different adversities, we get caught up in trying to do things our own way, and we lose sight that we don't have all the power and the strength to do what needs to be done. We fall short. We feel as though we can control and handle everything, but in reality, we can't handle nothing. Why? Because we're basing it on physical. We're basing it on man's solution and not recovery principles that will help me go inside and unravel those things that are keeping me sick. I need help. And more importantly, I wanted help. And guess what? I still want help. Do you? Do you? Do you? Needing something and wanting something are two different mindsets, isn't it? Tell me about it. When y'all see them pair of shoes or that man see that hat, you get obsessed with it. You want to get them pair of shoes. You want to get that hat no matter what. Don't need it. God knows I don't need another dress, another shoe, or nothing. But why? Why do we look outside for external things? And all we have to do is look inside and find out what's really wrong, what's really going on. Who would have ever thought that in working for the police department in one capacity in the state of Delaware and having another police department solicit me for services to help them out because of my background with substance abuse, mental illness, and prostitution? Yes. Yes. When you have these adversities, you will do just about any and all things to seek relief, to seek escape. You don't want to deal. But because of the 12 recovery principles, God prepared me. They prepared me to be used by another law enforcement agencies to help those that they are arrested. Isn't that something? Yes, we can lock them up at Wiener, but we want you to talk to them. We want you to share your story with them. We want you to offer them the 12 recovery principles. Yes. Look. So I go around the country and I share my experience, strength, and hope with the 12 recovery principles. I'm flinching honesty. Some people say I'm too honest. And guess what? I still lie. I don't care if it's a white lie, little lie, up lie, down lie. Because I am work in progress. I don't want to lie. I'm sure you don't want to lie, do you? Do you want to lie? But it's human nature, for whatever reason that's going on inside, that we find a need to lie. For whatever reason. So I practice unflinching honesty. So this is the question. To thy own self be true. The question should not be, what's wrong with me? Or what's wrong with you? The question should be, what happened to me? What happened to you? I'll never forget Dr. Alvin Turner came to my workshop to help 7-year-old Sammy not become a product of the system with mental illness and substance abuse and the whole 9 yards. And he said, during one of my interviews with him, we ask the wrong questions to ourselves and to other people. Not what's wrong with you, or you, what's wrong with you, they would say. But rather, tell me, what happened to you to make you think like that? What happened to you to make you feel that way? What happened to you to make you act that way? What happened? When you ask that question, you are inviting that person to trust you because they sense that you care. If somebody asks you what happened to you, opposed to telling you what's wrong with you, they're letting you know that they care. They want to understand than to be understood, which is another part of our 12 recovery principles. We want to understand than to be understood, and vice versa. We want you all to come to us when we have these issues, when we have these adversities, when we have these challenges. Come to us. Don't go on hearsay. Don't hear from gossip. Don't read about me on Facebook. Come to me and ask me what happened. Get it from the horse's mouth. You make it more direct. You make it more personal. And more importantly, you're allowing that person and even yourself to grow. So, we're going to talk about, to thy own self be true, using the analogy and the question of what happened to you, opposed to what's wrong with you. 5 years old, I don't know. Poppy eyes, little porky nose. I love that little girl. I love that little girl. She's inside of me somewhere. I love that little girl. She's inside of me. And this is to her, that little girl that never got a chance, that never got the opportunity to be empowered. But rather to be a product, in some cases of the environment, in some cases of the conditions, in some cases of society at large. We can talk about any and all reasons as to what happened to that little girl, or you, that little boy. What happened? Tell us what happened. Because that child is still somewhere down in there. And it's only through the 12 recovery principles that you will get in touch, and you will visit, and you will nurture, and you will love, and you will embrace that little girl or that little boy that's still within. Hi, Edwina. Number 1 recovery principle. And I'm letting you all know that these are just seed planters. I'm just planting the seed of the 12 recovery principles and how they could possibly work in your life, but more importantly, how they have worked in my life. No matter what you're going through, I want to present to you the 12 recovery principles. Start with number 1. It says, we admitted we were powerless over, and the line is blank. You can fill in what that gap should be. As a result of that powerlessness, our lives had become unmanageable. So the first recovery principle is we admitted we were powerless over, and in my case, my addiction, my case, my mental illness, in my case, my cancer, in my case of being raped, in my case of trying to commit suicide. And as a result of those things, my life had become unmanageable. This is the only principle that has to be accepted 100%. 100%. Why? Let's find out. What does admit mean? Confess to be true. And we talked about being transparent. Confess to be true or to be the case, typically reluctant. Or to be the case, typically with reluctance. That means you want to hesitate to lie because you're scared of being judged. You may not want to reveal the whole 9 yards. You are reluctant to get out. But it says admit, confess to be true or to be the case, typically with reluctance. So I ask you a question, all of you. Think about it. Don't answer yet. What are you powerless over? What are you powerless over? Some of you going to say nothing. I got all power. Well, that wasn't the question. The question is, what are you powerless over? So think a little harder. Think a little harder. Let me give you a couple examples. Are you powerless over the world affairs? Are you powerless over telling your children age appropriate what to do and they do the opposite? You may think you got power and you may address it temporarily, but they're going to go and do what they want to do anyway, just like you did. And you, and you, and you. What are you powerless over? Are you a smoker? Do you have cancer? Can you eradicate that? Can you stop that? What are you powerless over? And once you identify what you're powerless over, ask yourself, as a result of that powerlessness, how have my life become unmanageable? Or maybe that should be the first question. Let's reverse it. Is your life unmanageable? Are you worrying? Are you stressed? Are you not paying your bills? Are you not going to work? Are you violent? Are you stealing? Are you not taking care of yourself? What is making your life unmanageable? What is it? Okay? So maybe answering that same question in a different way, you can get in touch with powerlessness. Okay? 2, how and in what ways have your life become unmanageable as a result of your powerlessness? And I just described that, right? You're sleeping all day. You're not going to work. You're not taking care of your hygiene. You're isolating. You're attacking people. You're defensive. You're angry. You have hatred. You're short-tempered. You're impatient. You're intolerant. People don't want to be around you. Those are some of the ways that your life becomes unmanageable, with you trying to control something you think you have power over. Obviously, it has power over you. It has power over you. And 3, do you think you can ever regain power? It's not a trick question. Think about it. Do you think you can ever regain power if you have identified something that you're powerless over that has made your life unmanageable? What's the answer? No. No, no, no. Because how many times did you try to control that thing which you thought you had power over? Substituting, changing people, places, and things, geography, putting all those things in place, trying to control something that you had no power over. And they say that the minute you try to control something, you're already out of control. So you can never regain power over that situation. Never. Why would you want to if it caused your life to be unmanageable? That makes sense? No, it doesn't. And I see, we'll show you why. Number 2 recovery principle says, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And sanity only means soundness of mind, y'all. It doesn't mean I'm crazy. It doesn't mean you're insane. It means that we lost the power of having soundness of mind. So came to believe. Came meaning that you're coming towards. You're working towards. You're seeking. You came to believe that a power greater than you could restore you to soundness of mind. That you will never regain power over something that controlled your life and made your life unmanageable. You see? You see how the recovery principles can challenge you mentally, make you start thinking? Yes. Let's ask a couple of questions. Can you name some examples of a power greater than you? If you was like me, I was raised to believe by Ed Hall, I'm the power. I'm responsible for what happens to me. It's all about me. That's what my dad used to teach us. Yeah, but he was wrong. He was wrong. He was dead wrong. But we believed him at the time. Because why? He was a power greater than me. He was a power greater than us. Yes. So when you think of a power greater than you, you think about somebody of authority or something or someone that's greater than you that has power. 2, can you describe the characteristics of that power? Well, if I was to describe that power greater than me and my dad, I would say mean, abusive, self-centered, egotistical, prideful. But he was also caring. He was also loving. He was also affectionate, but only in his own way. And we had to learn what those ways were. So if we had to pick what those characteristics of a power greater than us that we could submit to, humble ourselves to, what characteristics would that power be for you? Some people call it a higher power. Some people call it the creator. A power greater than you could say it's more than 3 people against 1. That's a power greater than you. If you're going to school and you're in the classroom, that classroom is a power greater than you because there's more of them. And when you begin to go up the ladder, you go to your job, your boss is a power greater than you. So you ask yourself, with what you're going through, how can the 12 recovery principles help me seek out a power greater than me that can be caring, that can be loving, that can be patient, that can be tolerant, that can be compassionate, that can show empathy and sometimes sympathy. When you think about someone or something, a power greater than you, you will want those kind of characteristics. because you will begin to want to go to that power more often. Yes. And can you provide examples how that power could restore you to soundness of mind? Those 12 recovery principles help restore me to soundness of mind, y'all. Oh, yes. Because I had to learn to go inside and stop looking externally for things to fix me, for things to heal me, for things to satisfy me. Instant gratification. So going through this 12 recovery principles helped me to believe that there's a greater power. And I may not know who it is, but it has been a process for me. It was a process for me. It was the counselors in rehab. It was the people in the area of counseling and rehabilitation. That was a power greater than me. I had to submit and humble myself to listen to these counselors and therapists who would say to me, Edwina, they call you the Miss Junior Therapist in here. You got all the answers for everybody, but you're not getting well. But they were a power greater than me. One of them said to me, and this is what I want to ask you all, even you out there, listening to me live. Whether you're going through cancer, whether you're going through being raped, molested, mental illness, substance abuse, try to commit suicide, what power that was greater than you did you identify to help you? Most of you probably say none because you thought you could handle it, but you can't. And you couldn't. I couldn't. So I allowed these team of my rehab to tell me what I needed in order to get healed. They were a power greater than me. Because see, God, he was out there somewhere. I can't say. Because I was taught that God was a punishing God. He was going to get you. If you do bad things, you're not going to heaven. So that power was new to me. And so obtaining and getting a power greater than you has been a process and will be a process when you utilize the 12 recovery principles. Yes. Okay? So, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, and sanity only means soundness of mind, y'all. Being able to make constructive choices and decisions. Soundness of mind, meaning I'm not going to go outside with no coat on and it's 2 degrees outside. But under the influence of alcohol, I'll probably go out there naked. I told you I was transparent, right? Soundness of mind. Under the influence, whether it be from the sickness and the chemo, or the rape and the nightmares and all of that, will make you do some crazy things. Yes. So how can these 12 recovery principles restore me to soundness of mind? The next recovery principle is made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, the Creator, as we understood Him. I'm not giving you my God because listen, I ain't found mine yet. I'm still searching for mine. During this process called recovery, yes. But I needed to make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. And when I look at the word care, y'all, it reminds me of a mother and a child. When you had the responsibility in your dad's too, but it's something about that mother-child connection that reminds me that that mother is going to be loving and caring and protective and will do any and all things for that child. So that child looked up into the mother's eyes as she's feeding them, as she's nurturing them, as she's cuddling them, as she's changing their diaper. They are turning their will and their lives instinctively over to the one who has been put in charge of them. Yes. And in our case, I made a decision to go into rehab. I made a decision to seek counseling. I made a decision to go to a 12-step program. I made a decision to surrender my life to this process. And guess what? You can do the same. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm only making a suggestion. If you decide to go in the airplane and you want to jump out, make sure you have a parachute. I'm only suggesting. Make sure you have a parachute. So, how many decisions do we make a day? I'm asking you. How many decisions do we make a day? We make decisions all day long. Am I getting up? Am I going to the bathroom? Am I going to lay here and pee the bed? Making a decision all day long. Am I going to tell somebody I did it? Am I going to hide the sheets? Am I going to go to school? Am I going to set the alarm? We make decisions. Am I going to pray? We make decisions all day long. Mm-hmm. 2, can you provide examples of who and how you make a decision to turn your will and your life over to? Can you provide examples of who? Who are you going to make that decision to turn your will and your life over to? How do you make that decision? What is the criteria for wanting to turn your will and your life over to a power greater than you? Who it is, and how do you do it? 3, can you define, explain the words over to the care of? When we talked about that power greater than us, and recovery principle number 2, we talked about something, that power that was caring and loving and giving, right? And so I would want to make that decision to keep turning my will and my life over to the care of that power greater than me. Why? Because of the benefits. I'm beginning to have some serenity. I'm beginning to feel some peace. I'm beginning to sleep at night. Wouldn't you want more of that? I'm asking you. Wouldn't you want more of that? You're not dealing with the guilt and the remorse and the shame as often as you used to. Yet you do, but you don't stay there as long, right? Because you're making a decision to get the help that's available to help you deal with those internal issues that have manifested themselves in a negative way externally. Time is a change. It's time to go inside. And it's time to make the decision. So, the decision is important to you. And I often, and this is the key word, practice making that decision. We are some self-willed people. We are some strong self-willed people. But the more we practice making a decision to do the right thing, to go to the right places, making a decision to, turn our lives over to the care of whoever your higher power is. Him, her, the force, I don't care. Because in your process, you will identify who that power is in your own time. Okay? So, made a decision. And that's all you're doing. We didn't say turn it over. We didn't say turn your will. We say make a decision too. So don't get it twisted. Okay? Moving on to Recovery principle number 4. Made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. And do you notice these 12 recovery principles doesn't say I. It says we. It says us. It says ourselves. It says our. That means you are not alone. And you need to hear that. You are not alone. You are not the only one going through something. There may be some differences, but there are more similarities. And so you have to be able to make that decision and notice that this is a we thing. The fact that I'm sharing this with you is a part of me, and I want to share it with you. I benefited from it, and I want you to. So, we made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. What does a more inventory mean to you? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to you? Write it down. What does it mean to you? Think about it. I know this is all new to y'all. I don't expect everybody to speak up at once. And that's okay. I can speak for you. I got no problem speaking. Because you maybe have not learned or feel comfortable enough to be transparent. But because of 12 recovery principles, I can be transparent. And I can share with you what a more inventory is. Now, if you were like me, most of us looked at inventory like going into a store. You see cookies on one aisle, you see Cracker Jacks on the other, you see milk on in the refrigerator. Those are inventory items. And when a person is in business, in order for them to stay in business, they got to inventory what they have. What's selling, what's not, what's outdated, what needs to be relocated, what is selling more than the other, an inventory. When you open up somebody in operation, what's inside of you? Inventory. These people are taking people's organs, So even when the mortician goes in and he does an inventory of your inside, where's the kidney? Where's this? Where's that? An inventory. So, when we ask through the 12 recovery principles for you to do a searching and fearless more inventory. Searching. You know how if you're in the dark and you have a flashlight and you dropped a pen, a little pen, and you're searching and you're looking for in each cranny, in each crack, you're looking for that pen because that pen is worth millions of dollars. And you're going to search, and you're going to search, you're going to lift the bed up, you're going to tear the wall down, you're going to go up on the roof. Yes. Searching and fearless more inventory because you want to find out what happened to you. Not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you. And so it starts by going back to your earliest age of recollection. I showed you that picture of Edwina when she was 5 years old. A few slides ago, that little girl is still in here. And Edwina is still trying to find out what happened to her. But I'm a lot more aware. I'm a lot more stronger. I'm a lot more curious to continue that inventory to find out what happened to me. Because in order to find out where you're going, you need to find out where you've been. Yeah. So we ask that when you take that inventory, you go back as early as you can. And if you need to, talk about the different things that happen at different ages. It's not all thrown into one pot. Different things happen at different ages. You need to take that fearless and searching more inventory. Yes. I was 5 in that picture, innocent. At 25 is when I had that abortion. I committed murder. I got rid of a baby. that impacted my life, that sent me down a spiral downfall, that impacted me. I needed to share that moral inventory. It wasn't until recovery that I forgave myself and asked God to forgive me. But for 10 years, what are you holding back? What secrets are you keeping? What did you promise yourself to take to the grave? Huh? What is it doing to your insides? What is it doing to your mental capacity? How's it hurting you? Be willing to take that fearless and moral inventory. Why? Because in principle recovery 3, you have a power greater than you that's loving and caring, is going to guide you as you take this searching and fearless moral inventory. So when you do your inventory, describe the scene. What was the scenario in your family, your school, your community, your work, your relationships? I don't know if y'all dissected frogs in college. I mean, in high school, I did. You had to dissect a frog, you know. Yeah. But we dissected it for a reason. And so we're asking you to do the same thing with all areas of your life, to do that fearless and moral inventory. And it's not all about liabilities and being bad and all that kind of stuff. It's about your assets too. So how can you recollect some of the fondest memories? Even though my dad was like he was, we went skating, we went bowling, we went on trips. Yeah, those are the fondest memories. When he said, after so many years, I love you. He hadn't said it for a long, long time. And I finally heard the words that my daddy loves me. Those kind of things impact your life. It does. So you want to be able to think about those fondest memories. You want to get a balancing act. You want to identify your liabilities as well as your assets. Do that searching and fearless moral inventory so that you can learn how and what happened to you. What about some of your challenging times, experiences, episodes? Can you describe your feelings at the time? Many of us know we were feeling, but we couldn't identify what the feelings were. But through the 12 recovery principles, they will help you identify them. Let me show you. When you do an inventory, you identify, let's say, resentments. I got resentments against my mom, my dad, my siblings, okay? I am resentful against my mother. Why am I resentful to my mother under the cause? Because she got daddy's attention. And I wanted my daddy all to myself. But my mom, I became resentful. I became jealous of my mom. Yes. What effect did that have on me? My self-esteem. I wasn't good enough. I didn't have the big butt like my mom. I didn't have whatever she had, I didn't have. But it made me realize that my self-esteem was low because my daddy didn't look at me like he looked at my mom. I didn't understand. But what part did I play in it? See, when you do an inventory, you have to be able to identify the resentment, the cause, okay, the effect, and what part you played in. And the part I played in it, I became jealous of my mom. I did not like my mom growing up. I loved her, but I didn't like her. Isn't that something to say? Yes. But the 12 recovery principles helped me get in touch with why. Of course, I love my mother. Huh? So this moral inventory, that searching and fearless moral inventory will help you identify some things. I have resentments against my siblings. Why? Because they got daddy's attention too. It was a total of 6 of us. I asked this question a couple months ago. I said to a person, if I said that I am one of 5 siblings, how many siblings are there? And somebody said, Ebony, what was your response when I asked you that question?
I said 6.
You said 6. And the statement was, I am one of 5. So again, when you have a play with words, I have 5 siblings. So I'm one of 5 siblings in my mind, but other people saw, no, you're one of 6. But I had resentments against my siblings. Why? Because they got my dad's attention. What was the effect? Security. I wanted my dad all to myself. I was afraid if he gave something to this one and that one, there won't be enough for me. That's the effect that it had on me. And so what part did I play in it? I became manipulative. I started manipulating for attention. I started watching my mom do certain things to get my dad's attention. Could you imagine a 4, 5, 6-year-old trying to be a mother, trying to be mommy, doing what mommy does to get daddy's attention? Yes. I even went as far as getting in the bed with my dad because I wanted to see what he was doing to my mother. And when he rejected me, I felt, devastated. My dad don't want me. In his eyes, what are you doing in bed with me? But in my eyes, I want you like my mommy wants you. I had to deal with those kind of issues, y'all. I had resentments. That stuff was keeping me sick. Those secrets was keeping me sick. But through the 12 recovery principles, I was able to acknowledge, become aware, and deal with those issues. That's what happened to me. That's why I became promiscuous. That's why I became manipulative. That's why I became lustful. That's why I became an attention getter. That's why I pretend to be anything you wanted me to be. Yes. That's all part of the inventory. I was resentful. Even as much as I loved my dad, I was resentful against my dad too. Why? Because my dad was an abuser. He abused the kids and he abused my mother. And I hated him for that abuse. Yes, I hated him. I had a love-hate relationship with my own dad. And unless I got into recovery and applied these 12 recovery principles, I would have never disclosed that. I would have never been freed from that. I would have never been able to climb out of that pit of darkness and having that hate-love relationship, right? And so the effects of it, my security, my self-esteem was challenged. Yes. I wanted to protect my mom. I wanted to protect my siblings, but I couldn't. I was too little. My dad was a power greater than me. He instilled fear in us. That's what this inventory does. It makes you go down deep. And as painful as it is, it's also freeing. Do you hear me? It is also freeing, as you can tell, as if it happened to me yesterday. This is how transparent I am, you know? So, the part that I played in, I was just a family member. Sometimes it's just the reality that you're just there, that you played no part but just by being there. But I also played a part because they called me the tattletale. I had a lot of guilt and a lot of remorse because my dad would come to me and he would say, Edwina, you're my favorite. Tell me where you and mommy and the kids went. I didn't know my mom told him something else. And I told the truth. He dropped me like a potato and proceeded to whoop my mama's behind so severely she wound up in the hospital. And all the other siblings said, "You tattletale, you big mouth." I had to deal with that as a child, y'all. I was afraid to tell the truth now, because if I tell the truth, something's going to happen. So these are the inventories and these are the situations that these 12 spiritual these 12 recovery principles help you to deal with. And I've been set free because before my dad died, I took care of my mother. But before my dad died, we had a 2.5-hour conversation because I wanted to understand what happened to my dad. Do you want to understand what happened to your parents? Do you want to understand what happened to your siblings? Huh? Instead of saying what's wrong with them, do you want to understand how you became the way you became? Why you think the way you think? Why you act? Do you want to know what happened? Yes, that's powerful information. As painful as it is, it's also freeing. It gives some clarity by using these 12 recovery principles. Okay? Recovery principle number 5. Admit it to God as you understand him, her, or the force, ourselves and another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. Wow. Let's read that again. Principle recovery number 5 is admit it to God as you understand him, her, or the force, ourselves and another human being, what? The exact nature of our wrongs. You are not the only one in this life who have done wrongs. You will never be the only one. We all, even today, do some type of harm, some type of wrong to something or somebody. We're not perfect. We'll never be perfect. Right? So we need to get to the exact nature of why we do certain things. So let me explain to you what admit means. Confess to be true or to be the case typically with reluctance. And I don't know why that seems to be repeated. Oh, I know why. Because it was on another principle. It says, what do you believe in? What do you believe is the most important? What is the importance of admitting your wrongs to another human being? How many of you in this room will admit to another human being some of the wrong you did? How many of you would even admit it to your best friend? How many of you would admit it to your mother, your father? Huh? Why won't you admit it? Why? Fear. Being judged. Being criticized. Being turned in. Being treated differently. All those things that keep us from admitting our wrongs. And so it is freeing when we can identify one person in order for us to have the ability to share what we have done to another human being. Yes. Yes. So we know that this power, this force, him, her, whatever, already knows. And you already know what you did. You know what you did. They know what you did. But it's something about admitting to another human being the truth, transparency, to be set free from recovery emerging power. Yes. What do you think will be the benefit for this disclosure? Huh? You ever see a trash can full of trash? It got all kinds of junk in it. You carrying that trash can around to work, to school, to the store, to wherever you go, you're carrying that trash can. You need to find a compactor. You need to find a dumpster truck. You need to get rid of that trash that's in that can. Because if you don't, it's going to start stinking. It's going to start smelling. It's going to get heavy. Yes. So the benefit of this disclosure is to begin to clean out your insides. Yes. That inside sickness that made you pick up the drink, that made you pick up the drug, that made you go cheat on your woman, that made you go steal from their store. Yes, those things that are inside that manifest itself on the outside to do negative things. Who are you going to admit that to? So the benefit, it begins to free you, right? But this, after we did that more inventory, now we need to get to the exact nature of why we do what we do. And more importantly, get to what happened to us. Yes. How do you decide to whom to share this information with? So that's why they say this is a we program. Us. We're in it together ourselves. Because we're doing the same thing. Most of us have a better understanding of why you are disclosing that. Because we all want to heal. We all want to be set free. But make sure who you select is someone that you can relatively trust. Sometimes people even talk to a stranger. Yeah. They pull a stranger up and say, I need to get this off my chest. I need to get this out of my trash can. I did this, I said this, and woo! I told somebody. It's freeing, right? But was that person able to help him or her get to the exact nature of that situation? So, how does one get to the exact nature? Let me show you. Y'all keep me abreast of the time. What time is it? 3:46. What is it? 3:46. Okay. Thank you. Recovery principle number 6. We're entirely ready to have God as you understand him, part of force. As we understand him, part of force. Remove all these defects of character. Let me read it again. Number 6, recovery principle says we're entirely ready to have God, as you understand him, her, or the force, remove all these defects of character that we identified in step 5, that we wrote down in step 4, because we got in step 3 a loving and caring power greater than us that's going to help us navigate through the rest of the steps. But unless we learn and want to clean house totally, how then can we become entirely ready to have that higher power, that God, that force, remove all those things that need to be removed out that trash can so that he can give you a new lining, a new can with a sparkling top and one that has a hole in it. So as you begin to fill that trash can, that trash automatically comes out so that it never builds up. So, question, do you want to be relieved of all negative thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and attitudes? I'm asking you. I'm asking you. I'm even asking you. The key word is, do you want? You may need to, but do you want to be relieved of all the negative thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and attitudes? I did. And I'm so glad I wanted them removed. But the key is, I couldn't remove them. Let's see why. Do you believe the Creator can prepare you to reach your destiny with all the above negative character defects, i.e. lying, stealing, cheating, selfishness, self-centeredness, lusting, manipulating, fear, stubbornness, resentments? I can go on and on and on. Do you believe the Creator can prepare you with all those defects? No. Can He use you? No. Huh? So the question becomes in 3, if God, as you understand Him, her, the force, if He, she, the force can remove all things in His time that prevents Him from preparing and using you to help others, would you be entirely ready for it to happen? Some of you may say, well, some of these defects, they're my defense mechanism. Okay? God gave you some instincts to help you with that. And character defects, let me tell you what character defects are. Character defects are natural instincts that have far exceeded their purpose. He gave us the instincts for survival, for reproduction. He gave us the instincts for shelter. What we're talking about is those defects, those extra that have defected our character because we became too greedy. We wanted more than our share. So those natural instincts that far exceeded their purpose is all we're asking Him to remove. Isn't that beautiful? That's all. Doesn't say I'm a bad person. Doesn't say I'm an evil person. I just need to get help with these 12 recovery principles to help me identify what happened to me. And with help, what I can do about it. So let's find out. So, are you entirely ready? I am. And I'm so glad I was. And I stay ready. Even though self-will comes in there and says, God, fellowship, I'll be right back. I'm going over here. I know I shouldn't, but I'm going over here. That's okay. You'll keep going. You'll keep doing those things until you become sick and tired of being sick and tired of doing the same thing over and over again. It is not getting you anywhere. Even when you know that there's a solution, the question becomes, do you want it? I wanted it. I still want it. So I'll remain entirely ready till the day I die. To have Him, it, her, whatever you want to call it, remove anything that's going to prevent me to be prepared to be useful to Him and to you. That's right. Don't you want to do the same thing? These recovery principles are not just for you. They're for you to help somebody else. That could be a stranger, somebody in your family, somebody at work. You want to be a service to other people. That's what this is all about. Because you did the work inside through this program, through these principles, that you are now prepared and more equipped to help others who are struggling, who don't think there's a way out. You were chosen. Are you chosen? That means you have to be entirely ready. Let's move on. I got about another 27 minutes. Recovery principle number 7. Humbly ask Him, whoever you want to call him, her, the force, to remove our shortcomings. And what are shortcomings? You fall short on a character defect, you are waiting to be removed. If you are intolerant, if you're impatient, right, and you think because you stood in the longest line at the grocery store that you developed patience and tolerance, that was at the grocery store. But let's say you went to DMV and saw the cars all the way around on 13 or the highway. Are you going to be as tolerant and patient? All you have to do is ask Him to remove that shortcoming that you thought was gone. You humbly ask that force to remove that shortcoming so you can stand in the line on Route 13 to get your car inspected, even if it takes you 3 hours. That's what step 7 does. When you're falling short over something you think you have been delivered from, this thing is a practice, ongoing thing, you all. It's all about practice. I believe in stumbling forward, not stumbling backwards, stumbling forward. You're going to fall, but here's step 7. Here's recovery principle number 7 that says even if you fall, you can get back up just by asking him to remove that shortcut. So when you believe you have overcome something and then realize that it still consumes you, how do you address it? Do you have feelings of guilt? Do you believe you will never change? How many of us felt that way? Oh man, I just keep looking at girls. I just keep looking at boys. I think I'm dumb. I think I'm stupid because I heard it all my life. I'll never change. Yeah. Well, when you begin to apply the 12 recovery principles, you'll start thinking differently. Do you think something must be wrong with you? Do you? Do you think something's wrong with you? No, not at all. It's going back to what happened to you and how you can use these 12 recovery principles to identify that help is available when you fall short. Because you're going to fall short. We're going to keep falling till the day we die. But we fall less and less and less and less. The degrees are not as high as they were. They're coming down ever so slowly. I'm making progress. I will never be perfect. Oh, you perfect? You're right. Keep coming back. And that's okay. If that's what you think, fine. My process has told me by utilizing these recovery principles that I'm not perfect. I just need to strive for progress. Okay? Do you think you possess the strength to change yourself? What did we talk about in step 1? What were we powerless over? Did you have power over that, which was causing your life to be unmanageable? Did you? Could you control that? No. So what makes you think you possess the strength to change yourself when it was you who got yourself in it? Based on your will, based on your decisions, based on your choices, based on what you think is good for you, when you didn't even create yourself. Isn't that something? And how you think you're going to change yourself? You have to be ready and be willing to change. That's all. Be ready and willing to change. So when we fall short, we humbly ask that power greater than us to remove our shortcomings. So question number 2, how difficult is it for you to ask for help? Remember that scenario? And I don't even think I mentioned it. When those ladies talked to me about my pattern and they asked me to put my hand in front of my face and I told them all I saw was my hand and they said, that's your problem. All you see is what you see. All you know is what you know. As long as you keep that hand up, you will never get the help that you need. But on February the 22nd of 1990, I called that hotline and I said, ma'am, I know I need help, but I want help. I want help. So when you want help, the student in you has become ready. And when the student in you becomes ready, the teacher will appear. Yes. So when you learn to ask for help, after you see what a struggle it is, but you also see the benefit of asking for help because you can't change yourself. You got yourself into this situation by what you eat, by what you drink, or how you're acting. Yes. If you know that help was guaranteed, would you ask? If you know that help was guaranteed, would you ask? I ain't talking about the materialistic realm. I ain't talking about the physical realm. I'm talking about something higher than that. I'm talking about something higher than that. If you ask for help, for patience, for tolerance, for a blessing, for whatever, and you know it was guaranteed, are you going to walk through the fear and ask for help? Because fear can stand for, you know I'm on live, so I'm going to be nice. Fears mean, funk it, I'll say funk everything and run. You know what I mean now? Forget everything and run. That's what you've been doing all your life, running. But fear can also stand for face everything and recover. Face everything and recover. Why? Because you're using these 12 recovery principles. Okay? So, I would ask, if I didn't have patience, I would ask for it. Let's move on. Again, these 12 recovery principles go deeper. Trust me. My job is to plant seeds, to let you know what they're about, what the concept is, what's available for you. Okay? You ain't got to get real deep about it. It's just a pathway to let you know that help is available. Help is available to free you from recovery, emerge empowered. Why? To prevent, to intervene, and to restore. So, recovery principle number 8. It says, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And you say, well, what are you talking about? I ain't hurt nobody. Whatever your powerlessness was over and your life had become unmanageable, think back to who was impacted by your negative decisions. Who was impacted by your negligence? Who was impacted by your lack of supervision? Who was impacted? All those people and things were affected and you caused harm. And those things are still in that trash can inside of you. They didn't went nowhere. You know what you did. You know what you said. You know who you hurt. But you don't want to tell nobody. Well, this 8th recovery principle says, you know what? You've come this far with 7 of them. Let's continue the journey. And just make a list. Make a list of those you have caused harm to. But answer these questions first. Do you believe everyone should right and wrong? You do? Even you? Even you? Yeah. Do you believe, that everyone should right or wrong? The reality is, does everybody right or wrong? No. Do you have power over that person? No. When it comes to you, can you right or wrong? With these 12 recovery principles, you can. So all we're asking you to do is make a list. So what types of wrongs have we and others committed? Yeah. In my case, I stole sleepless nights from my mother. I stole, peaceful nights from her. Yeah. I neglected my children. I didn't go to work. I stole from my job. I defrauded the IRS. I didn't pay my electric bill. I stole somebody's electric. I was abused, so I abused a child. I wanted to see what it felt like. That stuff is down in me, and I had to get it out. I don't know where that child is today, but the way I treat children today is my way of putting that child on the list, that I don't cause no more harm to other children. Yeah, that's how deep this thing gets. Because at the end of the night, you don't want to have to have sleepless nights. You can make amends directly or indirectly, okay? Do you believe no matter what others have done to you that caused you to reciprocate, you should make amends for that part you played in it? Yes. If we got into an argument and you smacked me and I threw hot water on you, I need to make amends for the part I played in. Even though what you did, I'm not looking at what you did. I'm looking at what I did. And I need to put you on the list to make that amends. What does the principal ask you to do? It's just make a list. It didn't say make the amends. It says make a list. You can have a column of 3. Those that I'm willing to make amends to, those I might make amends to, and those I will never make amends to. But guess what you did? You made the list. But when you make the list, also identify what the situation was, what the circumstances was, and I'll show you. When we talk about make direct amends wherever possible, except when you do so would injure them or others, what type of amends are we talking about? Can you provide an example of making an amends that could injure others? Yeah. Suppose you had sex with your neighbor, wife. Do you go and tell her or him that you're sorry? You think that will cause you harm or them harm? Yeah. What's another way of making that amends? Stop fooling around. Change their behavior. If you stole something from someone who has since passed, how can you make that amends, or should you? You stole something. Well, get it back and give it to somebody else in that person's name. How about that? If you lied on someone and harm was done to them based on that lie, how would you make that amends? Would it cause harm? Would it injure them or others? Technical difficulties here for a minute or two. So let's find out what's going on. The devil is trying to be busy. Okay. Let's try this again. See, when you're on the road, boy, I tell you, the enemy gets busy. Huh? All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's see if we can get back to where we was. Let's see. You know, because we're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost done. Almost done. So I'm hoping that you are learning something, and I'm hoping that I am planting seeds of how the 12 recovery principles can help you in your life, how they can be utilized to address issues that have long been deep-rooted in your soul, in your spirit. And, you know, how possibly you can learn how to escape that bondage and become free, and also to be of help to somebody else. And that's what this is all about. Not only you being helped, but being prepared to help somebody else. So I'm not sure what's going on with this, but let me close with this, because it is almost time to go. The next series of recovery principles were 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, making those amends. Recovery principle number 10 is continue to take a personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Because when we held secrets, when we did wrong, it stole and robbed us of our peace, our joy. So when you do wrong, there's a way that people can get rid of that and empty their trash can so it doesn't build up by promptly admitting something. I'm not saying that's second, although that's good. You may have sit on something for days. Instead of days, make it hours. Continue to take that personal inventory like you did in step 4. Recovery principle number 4, you took that inventory, your liabilities and your assets. And so now steps 10, 11, and 12 are present steps. They're daily steps. The previous ones were clean it, get it together principles. But the last 3 are present so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Step 11, principle, recovery 11 says, sought through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with my God, your God, whoever he, she, it is. Praying only for knowledge of his will and the power to carry it out. Sought means I am constantly seeking. I'm constantly searching. Why? Because the first 10 steps, I've seen the improvement in my life. I've seen how that trash can has been emptied. I see the rewards and the benefits of having some peace of mind, some serenity. So I want to continue to improve that conscious contact with that person, that higher power, my God. And the last one is recovery principle number 12. Having been awakened, having your spirit been awakened as a result of these 12 recovery principles, we try to carry the same message to others who are still suffering. And more importantly, to practice these recovery principles in all our affairs. All our affairs. All our affairs. I'll close by saying, Donald Lawrence has this song, and the word says, you are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being walking this natural experience. Why not walk this natural experience with some help from the 12 recovery principles? They helped me, and they can help you. I'm glad you came. I hope you enjoyed the sessions. And for more information, my cards, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation is in the back, along with other information about the 1212, our sponsors, information from BHSS Prevention Coalition, okay? So our next presentation will be in Kent County on Sunday, March the 1st, which is next Sunday, at the Dover Free Library. Same time, doors open at 1:30. The session starts from 2:30 to 4:30. And then on March the 28th, we are in Sussex County at the Georgetown Free Library. And that's on a Saturday, and it's from 11:45 to 1:45. And so for more information, contact me at Edwina, edwina.bell@yahoo.com. Edwina, edwina.bell, B-E-L-L, ding, 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 @yahoo.com. Or call me at 302-690-6679. The 12 recovery principles helped me for the past 30 years, and I'm looking forward to the next 30 years. If they did it for me, they can do it for you, and you. Thank you.